Join us singing from home. La 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 la. La 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 la.
This meeting is being recorded.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome. It's great to see your faces. I'm so glad that you're joining us tonight. I have to say, I'm filled with joy to look at everybody's face. Some of you are looking a little quizzically at your camera. Everyone smile at your camera, will you? Shabbat, Shabbat. There we go. Okay, good. It's great to see you. Rabbi Stein and I are actually here in the sanctuary.
We're together in the sanctuary for the first
time since October, which is really fantastic. We have our fantastic sound technician, Nick Linder, is with you. You can't see him, but he's here too. It's just the three of us here in the sanctuary, and we're even trying out brand new sound equipment. So we've got lots of new firsts that we're excited about tonight. But most of all, it's Shabbat, and we're so happy to greet the day of rest and to breathe it in. We need rest to be rejuvenated for our lives and to connect with our community and to find hope and goodness and peace for ourselves. And tonight we're going to have a special guest speaker, Jordan Berg-Power, speaking on racial justice in the Jewish community. So we're so glad that you're here. Welcome everyone for Shabbat services. We're going to begin by lighting our Shabbat candles. And if you have your Shabbat candles and you haven't yet set them up, seriously, take a minute now. Run, go get them. Set them up in your home so that you can have the lights of Shabbat burning in your home as well. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the words for the blessing. And draw the light into your eyes. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We're going to sing to greet the angels of Shabbat. Please join with us from home. Here we go. Shalom Aleichem. And we invite you to consider the angels, maybe the people far away from you, people you haven't seen in a while because of the pandemic or maybe for some other reason. People who are in your hearts, or perhaps some other kind of angel. greet them as we sing together. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu, we ask for blessing. Baruch Hu L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem L'Shalom, Seitchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La la la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la. Slides that we prepared for tonight are filled with, spring pictures of, flowers blooming and everything like that. We had no idea that all the snow was coming, so you can channel that. But most of all, I want you to sing with us as we sing a new song. Shabbat is a time of newness, of the renewal of our souls, the renewal of our connections with people that we've maybe drifted apart from the last 6 days of the week. So sing a new song now. Shir Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash. Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai. of the Psalms that we sing for Kabbalat Shabbat, of the 6 Psalms, the 6 chapters of Tehillim that are read before Shabbat. Shir Chadash could be translated as a new song or a new poem. And our practice has been over these last couple months to read a new Shabbat poem every Friday night. So this is a beautiful poem found in the brand new Reform Movement Passover Haggadah, which is a poetry Haggadah, called Last Night as I Was Sleeping by Antonio Machado. Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt marvelous error that a spring was breaking out in my heart. I said, along which secret aqueduct, O water, are you coming to me, water of a new life that I've never drunk? Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt, O marvelous error, that I had a beehive here inside my heart, and the golden bees were making white combs and sweet honey from my old failures. Last night as I was sleeping, I dreamt, O marvelous error, that a fiery sun was giving light inside my heart. It was fiery because I felt warmth as from a hearth, and sun because it gave light and brought tears to my eyes. Last night as I slept, I dreamt, O marvelous error, that it was God I had here inside my heart. Please join with us in L'Chadudi. L'Chadudi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela lai 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 L'Chadudi likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela lai 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 Shamor v'zafo v'dibor echad ishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shemo tiferet v'tehila l'chadoti likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela lai 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 l'chadoti likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela lai 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 likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki lekor habracha merosh mikerem nisocha sof maaseh v'machshava tila l'chadoti likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela lai 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 l'chadoti likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat lai 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 hitoreri ki va'orech kumi ori uri uri shir taveri kevod Adonai alayich nigla l'chadoti likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela lai 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 l'chadoti likrat kala yalalai 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 b'nei Shabbat nikavela lai 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 boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha otzola toch emunei am segula boi chala Lehadoti likrat kalai, halalai, 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 pnei Shabbat. Nikabela, lai, 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 lehadoti likrat kalai, halalai, 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 pnei Shabbat. Nikabela, lai, 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 yalai, la, 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 la. La 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 Lecha dodi likrat kala yala elai Lai, 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 lai. And now I invite you, if you're standing or even if you're seated, close your eyes. Draw in a deep breath to breathe in the rest and blessing and goodness of Shabbat. Breathe in a deep breath. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom to our whole community. We want to give you a chance to look at all of the people who are here that you're enjoying Shabbat with. Take a quick look across the screens of those who have their cameras on. And now we're going to go into breakout groups. We want to give you the opportunity to greet each other, to wish each other Shabbat Shalom, maybe even to meet a few new people. So hit join breakout rooms. We'll call you back in just a couple minutes, and then we'll continue with our service and greet each other, Shabbat Shalom. And I'm going to go on. Shabbat Shalom, Diane Ripstein. Hello, hello. We could put you into a breakout group, I think. You can greet a few people, wish them Shabbat Shalom. Okay.
We're back. Welcome back, everyone.
We still have 20 seconds left.
20 seconds. We'll wait till everyone's back. I hope you enjoyed saying hello to old friends, perhaps meeting someone new. Great. Welcome back, everyone. We'll come together for the call to prayer. We need your voices.
La 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 la
I'll invite you to stay standing for the Shema, the prayer where we think about the value of oneness. God is one, everything. We recognize that everything and everyone is interconnected, and we all rely on one another.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'beitecha u'belechtecha b'derech u'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot ben einecha u'chtatam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem Emet. We sing Vishamru, we sanctify Shabbat. Shabbat is an opportunity to be present, an opportunity for us to recharge, to take a step back from our busy weeks and really offer it as a time to rest and be with loved ones.
Vishamru uvnei Israel את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם לי בין ישראל עוד היא לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש.
Shabbat Shalom. In a moment, we're going to move into our Amidah prayer, our standing prayer. But I want to take a minute to just say, I notice myself as I'm with Rabbi Vogel, a new energy is I feel new energy in services, just being able to be together. And I've been thinking a lot about blessings and thinking about our bodies and how we respond to blessings, and thinking about prayer choreography, actually. And as we begin our Amidah prayer, the standing prayer, we're invited in the meditation, we're invited to take 3 steps backwards and then 3 steps forwards, right in this meditation right before, to kind of set ourselves up for this moment of prayer. And often the reason I was heard back in elementary school was because that's how you pay respect to someone. So we're standing before the divine, we're standing before God, and this is an opportunity to pay respect to God. And that's why we take 3 steps backwards and sort of humble ourselves and then move 3 steps forwards into prayer. But I also want to think about this opportunity to move, the idea of prayer choreography as really an opportunity to get into our bodies, to feel ourselves being present in prayer. And I think sometimes being in our bodies and being aware and being allowed to move also can then open our heart. And then we can be open to prayer. We can be open to what our hearts want to say. And that's really the goal of prayer and what we're trying to do. So as we come together, we begin our Amidah prayer together. I'll invite you to rise if you are able, and I'll invite you to move in some way, in the way that feels comfortable for you, whether you're seated or standing. And I'll invite you to move in a way that you think might be able to open your heart. And we'll begin together and then offer a moment of personal prayer as well.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ofi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imaot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo v'Ahava, Melech Chozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. We offer a moment of personal prayer. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. 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 Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha, v'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. We'll ask God's blessing for people in our community and people we care about who are dealing with illness. We ask God to bless them with Rifuat HaNefesh, Rifuat HaGuf. We're going to open up the chat in just a moment. So if you want to add the name or names of anybody, whether in English or in Hebrew, for whom you're asking God's blessing, you can do that through the chat and we'll all get a chance to know their names. We ask God to bless us all with courage and strength as these days continue. To bless all who are suffering with compassion, and to bless all we're concerned about with the blessing of life and health. On this Shabbat in our community, we're thinking of these individuals. We ask God's blessing for Karen Matheny, Robin Barenholtz, A.B. Haupt, June Zeiner, Jim Zeiner, Jody Kleiman, Gilbert Kleiman, Ronnie Meckler, Allison Santucci, Meredith Fine, Luann Luce, Ben Slavitt, Evelyn Opat, Samantha Kramer, Ann Fenton, Bill Benak, Marjorie Homanoff, Sarah Singer Nuri, Ethel Garner, Don David Ben Ezer Vechaya, Michael Ben Bluma Ushmuel, Shoshana Bat Moshe Ubela, Shoshana Bat Chana Umeir, Pinchas Ben Miriam, David Emanuela Bat Yechezkel Ephraim, Ephraim Ben Malka Rachel, Chanan Ashrei Ben Moshe Umiriam, Yeira Bat Sarah, Chaya Sheva Bat Bela, Liora Maya Bat Dvor Leah Umedad Dani, Shmuel Ben Leib. God, bless all of these individuals with health and with healing. Hear our prayers. Bless them all with life. And together we say, Amen. Please join me. Mi shebrera avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. before we turn to our speaker, we want to count the Omer because we are traveling now, all of us as a community, from one holiday to another, from one place of narrowness to a place of expanded mind. We're traveling from Passover to Shavuot, and the Torah tells us that we should count 50 days. Actually, it says 49 days, 7 days, 7 weeks of 7 days, a total of 49, and that we should count each day. And there's a blessing for that, a beautiful, beautiful melody that we've just learned. And we encourage you to join with us as we count the Omer. Now, if I tell you what tonight's night is, you could probably see it on the screen. That would be counting. So I'm not going to do that, but I am going to tell you that last night was 19. So there you go. We begin with a meditation in the middle of the page. Hineni muchan umzuman lekayem mitzvat aseh. Here I am ready. I am preparing myself to perform this mitzvah. La 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 la. Hineni muchan umzuman lekayem mitzvat aseh. Hineni muchan umzuman lekayem mitzvat aseh. Shel sfirat haomer, shel sfirat haomer, shel sfirat haomer, shel sfirat haomer. Sheva Shabbatot timimot tiyena. Sheva Shabbatot timimot tiyena. La 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 Now the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer. Sheva Shabbatot timimot tiyena. Sheva Shabbatot timimot tiyena. Alai la 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 at the bottom of the page, at the bottom of the screen, first in Hebrew, Hayom esrim yom laomer shehem shisha yamim u'shnei shavuot laomer. Together in English, tonight begins the 20th day of the Omer, which equals 2 weeks and 6 days of the Omer. All right, we are preparing ourselves to stand at Mount Sinai. As soon as we get to 49, the next day is the holiday of Shavuot when we receive the Torah at Mount Sinai. So we keep walking together. Rabbi Stein.
Yes, I have the honor tonight of introducing our guest speaker. I am thrilled to invite Jordan Berg Powers to Temple Sinai this evening. So I'll just give you a little bit of background. About a year and a half ago, just a few months after I started my time at Temple Sinai, probably in about October or November of 2019, Temple Sinai's racial justice efforts really took hold. There was a few members, and through one-on-ones, we realized that racial justice was an interest that many people in our community felt they wanted to work on. In January of 2020, we hosted a large interfaith Martin Luther King weekend gathering focused on racial justice. In February of that same year, we welcomed Amelia Diamond to do a training, which many of you attended, on undoing our own internal racial bias. And then we took a brief lull once the pandemic hit. But really that last summer, we realized that communities of color were being impacted by COVID much more than white communities. We realized we did not want to take a break. And so last summer, we worked with GBIO of the police reform bill and healthcare reform. We started a book group that has continued until now. And we're really, Tzedek at Sinai and the Temple Sinai community as a whole is focused on continuing our racial justice work, on continuing to look within ourselves. How are we as a community committing to be an anti-racist congregation? And how are we as an institution showing up in our community to dismantle racism and fight white supremacy? And tonight and Sunday evening, we have the opportunity to learn from Jordan, to learn his Torah to help us do this. And I'll just share a little bit personally. I've had now the privilege of hearing Jordan speak a couple of times over the last few months, once at Hebrew College and once at Temple Israel. And I've left all of those meetings feeling completely inspired and challenged, and just, Jordan, you've provoked me to think so much. And just in our conversations leading up to tonight, I just remember thinking, you know, every time I left our conversations, I again was more inspired to act. You really moved me to think more. And I left every meeting with a big smile on my face, despite thinking about really challenging issues. I know that I see you laughing now, but really every meeting was just a joy and an honor. And I left really feeling so thankful to be able to welcome you into this committee and to continue our work together. And I'll just introduce a little bit of who you are, Jordan, and then turn it over to you. Jordan Berg Powers is the executive director at Mass Alliance, where he previously served as deputy director of Mass Alliance. In his 7 years there, he has helped elect new progressive leaders across the state, recruited progressive champions to run, and trained hundreds of grassroots organizers. So Jordan, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and we're just so thrilled to have you here tonight. And I imagine many, like me, many of you will leave tonight with a big smile on your face and ready to commit to this work. So thank you.
Thank you. As the rabbi said, my name is Jordan Berg Powers. I use he, him. I'm joining you tonight from Nipmuc land. And just thank you all for having me. It's a very big honor, especially a special thank you to Rabbi Vokel, who I just got to meet and know a little. And thank you, Rabbi Stein, for inviting me to your congregation is truly honored to be led by you both. I'm honestly inspired by the way the rabbis are working on creating a welcoming community, and one that's really focused on bringing everyone to be seen, and to be seen as we truly are, which is a reflection of God's image, and all the beautiful colors that comes in. I also want to thank you all. I was also a part of the reform, the URJ's Audacious Hospitality, which was an effort to bring more Jews of color into the fold. And so for those of you who have been a part of the National URJ, I just want to thank you for enabling such a transformative part of my life and something that changed my life in a really positive way. For everybody else, Shabbat Shalom. So I'm going to do a davar about Sarah Mitzorah, which is the Torah portion for this week, for the Shabbat. I think I know what it must have felt like to be a tzareth on the outside of the community. But I don't have leprosy, just dark skin. As a Jew of color, my dark skin has too often set me outside the community. And like this week's Torah portion, the only way we get to enter is through the intervention of community leaders vouching for our purity, or in our cases, our Jewishness. I'm reminded of why I picked the synagogue that I picked. So I'm in Worcester, and my wife, who had yet gone through a conversion but was serious about becoming Jewish. I like to think that's one of the reasons she married me is because of my passion for Judaism. And despite all of the conversation we had with the people at the synagogues where we first visited, they could not get over that my wife, Kara, who had grown up in Worcester in the Catholic Church, was the person who was Catholic, and the Black person who was before them was the person who was born Jewish and went to a Jewish day school. And I know that it was my Zareth, right? The things that were on my skin was the only thing that differentiated us, but yet they could not see past it. They could not see to who I was. And as a kid, I often felt outside looking in on the Jewish encampment. I went to a Jewish day school, and I actually had to go to several Jewish day schools because of the physical violence I faced from other children, and then the abuse that I got as a little kid at 5 and 6. And I know that 5 and 6-year-olds do not learn these things on their own. They are taught from us to them. And so as I grew up and as I made my way in the Jewish community, I was always in search of being brought into our Jewish encampments. The first few minutes of my first nifty Shabbaton, other kids treated me again like they were wondering how I ended up there. What was I doing there? My first minutes there were moments of othering, were moments of pushing me out of encampment, out of our Jewish community together, moments into them. I had similar experiences with the USY, all moments of of consistent racism, seeing me for my skin and not for who I am, not for my commitment to Judaism, not for my love of it, not even for the fact that I was born Jewish, simply for my skin. And I've been thinking a lot about the beginning of this parsha, which is in itself an interesting parsha. Right? We start with birth, and in it they just throw in that like we do a bris at 8 days. But I think that that's an interesting thing to throw in when you're talking about people being outside and inside, who is pure and who is not. I think that the part of the thing is we need constant reminders of how we think about of who is included in Judaism, because a lot of our time is spent dividing ourselves, deciding who is in and who isn't. We are pushing each other's. We do things subtly and without thinking sometimes, saying, have you acculturated yourself? Do you signal the right way to people that you fit into this, that you belong in the encampment? And so I think that whenever you do something where you're also in the Torah telling people how they should sit outside for the health, you also need to remind people that everyone ultimately is welcome. Everybody ultimately comes in. And it's interesting because I've had such varied experiences with this. It was, in fact, in the NCSY, the Orthodox teen place where I felt most welcomed, because I checked the boxes, because I figuratively showed them that I had joined, right? I had gotten a bris, I had joined the community. And because I did all the culturation that we have in our American Judaism to tell them I know the things, I know what to do, I was welcomed in. It was the first time in my life that anybody had ever stood up for me as a Black person. Certainly people said racist things, but it was the first time a white person said, no, we don't say that here, not to him. No, don't say that. Too often the onus was placed on me. The whispers were said, oh, I'm sorry, whispered to me, not to the person who said it. Do you need to talk? I don't need to talk. They need a talking to. It puts the onus on the Jews of color and the people of color to have our feelings sort of okayed, while the actions, the othering, the putting us outside is never checked or rarely checked. And in truth, being a Jew of color is a weird, precarious place. It is a interesting place, an intersection of our Jewish worlds, right? When people of color, when people say people of color, they don't mean you. They mean people who go to Black churches, and people who are, evangelical Latinos or indigenous folks, right? They don't mean you. And when people say Jews, they don't mean you. They mean people who came from Germany or immigrated from other European places. Sometimes they mean people who immigrated from the Middle East, but they usually don't mean that when they think of Jews. And so we sit at this interesting place. And so as a kid, the safest place for me was with the Torah. That was the place that always gave me such a home. And so again, I'm interested in how this all goes so awry. I'm reminded of Yehuda Webster. I wrote that down and I thought, this is a really interesting story that I need to add as soon as I thought of the Torah. Yehuda Webster is a Black Jew who studied at the University of Haifa and Jewish Theology Seminary. And whenever he officiates a bar mitzvah ceremony, he rents Torah scrolls. And as he often does, he keeps it in his home over the weekends and returns them on Mondays. So this is his telling of the story. As I walked to my lift outside my apartment, a Hasidic man aggressively demanded to know where I was going with the Torah, implying without a doubt that I had no business having it. Indignantly, I told him to leave me alone, which is a normal reaction. I continued my short walk to the corner to meet my lift, and another man approached demanding I, quote, explain myself. Next thing I know, a pickup truck rolled up with a dude also pestering me. I defensively made them to know I owe them no explanation, and their continued demands and harassment were racist. At this point, I hopped in my Lyft thinking it was over. We'll just drive off and this nightmare would end. But before we could leave, a Hasidic driver swerved their car in front of my Lyft, preventing us from driving away. Hasidic undercover security seemingly materialized, yelling in their walkie-talkies. The Torah is in the back seat, and the mob of 20 to 30 or so Hasidic Jews quickly surrounded the Lyft. People were filming and taking pictures. That's how I saw it. I actually saw it as it started to happen. Cars were honking. Lyft driver Cynthia was protesting. I'm arguing with the Hasidic security. It was complete pandemonium. Trapped and frankly terrified, I frenetically called my housemate Hannah Rodman to come to the corner and vouch for me. Vouch for me. That always struck, right? Hannah bravely jumped into the fray, but it was clear that all sides had dug in their heels. And nothing she said or I said, not in my explanation that I was returning the Torah to J11 Judaica, not Hannah's passionate assertion that I'm a Jewish educator working to bring Torah to Jews that don't have it. Nothing would convince the mob. And I never thought I would say this, but the NYPD saved the day. Jewish institutions, similarly, rather than welcoming Jews, are often a part of making us feel unsafe. We've seen the Forward felt it okay to print opinion pieces questioning white privilege, whether Jews of color really exist beyond a smattering of people, and questioning the hashtag Black Lives Matter by assigning the broad movement to a few questionable quotes from a few Black people. And this January, the Interior Minister of Israel petitioned the High Court of Israel to say that Ugandan Jews should not be eligible for Aliyah, even though they were practicing conservative Jews. What about their Judaism and practice makes them ineligible? Of course, it's their skin color alone. According to the Jews of Color Field Building Initiative, there are about 1 million Jews of color, and too many of us are outside our camp looking in. What are we doing to bring everyone in and to confront what pushes us out? This Parsha has a lot of guidance on what it takes to bring Jews back into purity, back into the camp. Let that be the guide for us going into Shabbat and moving forward. How will we sanctify our communities? By bringing all who are outside into our encampment. As we walk to receive the Torah at Mount Sinai, let us be ready. For at Mount Sinai, all Jews were present. Alive then, all who had passed, and all Jews in the future. That includes you and me. Jews in all hues. Let us, like the counting of the Omer, be reminded of our work to be truly at the place of welcoming all Jews to the Torah. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Jordan. I want to invite folks to ask some questions. Jordan's graciously agreed to answer some questions. I want to invite you to use the chat to do so, and we'll try to manage that way. And I just want to share again how glad we are that you are here, and have no fear. We are learning once again from Jordan this Sunday night at 7 p.m. on Zoom as well. But I want you to invite you to ask questions. Jordan, thank you for so vulnerably sharing your story. And I believe you should be able to chat now. Yeah, also if folks want to wave at the camera, you could do that as well. I'll try to find people.
Feel free to ask. While we're waiting for people to ask questions, I guess they'll say I will put a pitch in for the URJ did some thoughtful work with Jews of color to create Audacious Hospitality, which is a resource on how to be welcoming as well to communities, and also how to center the work that you're doing in social justice, in racial justice, and in diverse communities. So also there's resources available if you're looking.
Yeah. So Jordan, we have a question. What is the number one thing that white people can do to affect change within their community to be more welcoming towards those that have been othered? If you have thoughts.
I guess I'd say that there's no one thing that any one person can do, but what the things I think about in my life that I guess I feel comfortable speaking to are first just to not assume who is Jewish and who isn't. Don't ask, how are you Jewish? Why are you Jewish? I tell people that the reason we chose the temple we did is that when I walked in the door to the temple I'm now a member of, they said, welcome. That's all that happened. Nothing, I didn't get questioned, I didn't get accosted. No one treated me differently. They just said, welcome. I think they were happy to see somebody at the age of 30 that was in the room. They were like, thank you for being here, right? So that's my first piece of advice. And if you see somebody being othered, to step in. You will do, if you step in, it will be uncomfortable. You will do it imprecisely. You won't say the things you want to say. You will be in your shower hours later being like, I wish I had said it differently, but that's okay. What matters is the action of stepping in. It will be imperfect. We all do it imperfectly, but just the act of stepping in so that the people of color don't have to do that work is just so critical.
Thank you. And there's two questions. One is, how have you connected to other Jews of color?
So I'll say that thankfully for me, the URJ has provided some space. I also, funny enough, have social media that's Black Jew. So actually I get connected through people intersecting with me, and social media makes it easy. I'm on Facebook groups and TikTok groups. I follow a lot of TikTokers who are Jews of color. So there's lots of places that are available, but thankfully I'd say the Facebook and Twitter and TikTok are places to interact with Jews of color. Yeah.
Thank God for social media, right?
Yeah, the good parts to it especially.
It's amazing. From where or whom did you draw strength as a child to persist in your studies despite those experiences?
I can say that I had wonderful teachers who did not remotely have the language around racial justice that we have now. There was, it was the 80s. It was not a best time for how we talk about race, but, I had wonderful teachers who gave me a love of Judaism and a love of Torah, and did not see me as different student. In fact, they saw the passionate Jew in front of them and treated me accordingly as best they could, and really fostered a love. So I had amazing rabbis. I went to a Jewish day school as a kid, which is its own sort of funny story. But I had amazing rabbis who really just fed it, and I'm so thankful for them.
Thank you. I do have to share that Jordan and I are both had spent some time growing up in Philadelphia and are both Philadelphia Eagles fans.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that we connected on. But more importantly, how do we move for Jews to engage with complicity with white privilege, and at the same time we reframe the community as not necessarily white? So think about addressing our own, for white Jews, addressing our own white privilege, but also recognizing sort of the multi-ethnic and multiracial reality of the Jewish community.
Yeah, I think, first off, when the world interacts with you, they're often interacting with you as white presenting, right? Race is ultimately a construct for which we interact with each other. And so there is a shared experience that my Blackness provides. There's a history of overcoming oppression that I can pull from in my daily life. But ultimately, I am Black because of how the world how America sees me, deals with me, and intersects with me. So one of the things that you can do is think about intervening in those in lots of different ways, both professionally in your work. I am sure there is more work to do to be so-called ready, to be in a workplace that is bringing people in, that isn't a part as best as possible and replicating racist structures. And then, in the Jewish community, making sure that we're doing everything possible to bring people in who are often on the outside around Judaism, so that Judaism itself reflects all of the beautiful colors that Judaism in fact comes in. So I would say that there is work both sort of in your life, professionally, with friends and so forth, to do work of deconstructing white supremacy, and then also within Judaism to be more welcoming. And in that way, Jews will be safer, right? If we as Jews are on the front lines of ending white supremacy, then we ourselves become safer, because as we all know, right, first white people they want to get rid of are Jews, right? They're quick to differentiate us. So the other way I think about that is that's an opportunity. There is lots of ways in which that we are unfortunately more separated from our communities than we should be. But in fact, there are natural allies with people of color and marginalized people who share that sense of not having a permanent place, like not having being always often outside of the sort of writ at large. So I'd say that there's opportunity on the other side of it. Should we lead in our efforts to end these systems?
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have several more questions in the chat, but again, we have Sunday night, so I invite you to come back. The link is on the Sinai update and on our website to come back. We're specifically going to be talking about some of these questions, really how to think about Temple Sinai, how to think about us organizing as a Jewish community, and thinking about the work that Jordan is doing at Mass Alliance and organizing around political campaigns and the value of organizing. And Jordan, I just want to thank you again for sharing your Torah, again, your love of Torah and Judaism, and your commitment to this work, and to the work of progressive causes in general, to social justice work in general, is truly inspiring. And we have so much we can learn from you, and we're in this fight with you, and we're committed. I'm saying that on behalf of me, but on behalf of Temple Sinai, we're committed to doing this work together, and to dismantling white supremacy. And again, thank you so much for your vulnerability and sharing your amazing Torah.
Amen. Amen. Jordan, thank you so much. Jordan Berg-Powers, thank you. And we encourage everyone, once again, mark your calendar this coming Sunday night, 7 p.m. to continue the conversation. We're going to continue our service now and turn to the concluding prayers with the Aleinu, which reminds us that it is Aleinu. It is upon us. We've got obligations in the world. This is certainly one of our obligations, to engage in this work and to do what we can to bring wholeness to our broken world. So if you wish, please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, lateit gedula liotze bereshit, shehu notei shamayim v'yosed aretz, u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim mimah, u'shchinatu zo b'govhei meromim, u'Eloheinu ein od, va'anachnu ko'im, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Al ken nekavel lecha Adonai Eloheinu, lirot mehera b'tiferet uzecha, letaken olam b'malchut Shaddai, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, echad. Recite the Mourner's Kaddish on this Shabbat for these individuals whose yahrzeits we observe this week, and we remember all of them, we hold them dear to us, and their memories shall be for a blessing. We remember Harry Bass, Joel Brieger, Richard Chasen, Harold Davis, Louis Feingold, Charles Fine, Sadie Lipson Greenglass, Marge Harvey, Mary Jansen, Marion Kahn, Mary Hirschfeld Kaplan, Gerald Harold Katz, Adeline Katz, Ingrid Kisliuk, David Lavian, Kenneth Levitt, Amnon Levy, David Lewin, Louis Lowenthal, Lena Margit, Leora Marsh, Joseph Mizell, Ethel Orlov Melnick, Galina Mintz, Michael Ortiz, Beatrice Roth, Miriam Silverstein, Rubenstein, Yentrick Natan Schiller, Ida Smith, Sanford Smith, Francis Bronsky Sugarman, Anthony R. Ullman, Frank Israel Weintraub, Sherry Weckstein, Samuel Wolf, Abraham Wolstadt, Benjamin Zeitler, and Jonathan Zebrak. And in the period of Shloshim, the past 30 days, we remember these individuals and we extend our condolences to their family members and to their friends. We remember Anne Single, mother of Robbie Single, Isabel Grinspoon, cousin of my wife, Martha Hausman, and grandniece of her parents, Carol and Bob Hausman. And we remember Edward Francis McNally, dear friend of Arnie Kaplowitz. I see that others are, many of you are writing the names of others in the chat. We remember all of them. And together now, I invite you to rise as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish, praising God, the source of life and love and caring in the universe, who brings that life and that love into our hearts and gives us all life so that we can experience love. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru,
Amen.
amen. Please be seated. Please be seated. May we all find comfort in our broken world. And may we all reach out to one another to bring each other comfort. Amen. All right, I want to invite Temple President Charlie Homer to give us our Shabbat announcements. And Charlie, you are on.
Great. Thank you, Rabbi Vogel, and Shabbat Shalom to all. Let me also express my particular thanks to Rabbi Stein for her work to bring Jordan Berg-Powers to us. And of course, thank you very much, Jordan, for that wonderful and meaningful Devar. And we're all looking forward to your session to help us organize more effectively on Sunday night. So just a few announcements. First, as always, we do have Oneg following by Zoom. And you've already seen in the chat the link. Again, as I already mentioned, Jordan will be giving a session, an organizing around racial justice session on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Please be there. Um, it is school vacation for those of you without children, just might need a reminder of that. So there will not be religious school this week. There will be, however, tomorrow morning, supporting mindful practice session at 9:30 in the morning. Invite you all to join. On Sunday at 1 o'clock, a session on how to show others you care, supporting those who are dealing with health issues, which of course could not be more germane in these times. Also on Tuesday evening at 7:30, we have a session on talking about emotional wellness. There'll be a video about Let's Talk About Shame and a discussion about that. The following week, Sunday, is a session on reimagining Ruth, the start of a several-week session. Looking forward to that. And let me also point out that a week from this Sunday, so Sunday the 25th at 7, and the following Thursday night at 7:30 will be the last two sessions in our reimagining, reopening sessions, and those two will be focused on Kehila Shel Chesed, creating an inclusive, caring, engaged community. Also, let me remind you that, again, a week from this Sunday, Java Nagila is back, and you'll have the opportunity to purchase pastries, and you need to make those purchases by this Tuesday. So please, after Shabbat, go to the site and click and order your pastries. So with that, Shabbat Shalom.
Not back full speed, but in part as best as we can during a pandemic. Great. Good. Thank you, Charlie, for all those announcements. I want to first share that we had intended to recite the names of Adam Toledo and Dante Wright during our Kaddish, and I neglected to write them down on my list. But we are reciting Kaddish as a community for them too. I did see somebody wrote in the chat that we are aware of, all those who are victims of police violence, especially people of color, and so we'll add those folks to our hearts as well as we're reciting Kaddish. So please forgive my oversight in that. The other thing I want to mention is that a week from tonight, in addition to all of those things that you heard Charlie say, a week from tonight, we'll have temple members speaking at Shabbat services. We have a very, very special group that over a year ago began the journey of Daf Shvui, which is studying a page of Talmud a week. And they've stuck with it and have engaged in deep conversations with one another and exploring the Talmud, which is complicated and wonderful and reveals all sorts of mysteries. So they have completed, by reading one page a week, completed the very first tractate, which is Tractate Brachot. And we will hear from a number of a subgroup of the people next Friday night. So please join us for that, an opportunity to celebrate our adult learning Talmud study group. So please do join us for that. All right, lots of things going on. And as Charlie said, you can check the temple website or your Sinai email update for all sorts of announcements and links every single day. All right, please join us now as we recite the Kiddush over wine or grape juice, whatever you prefer. And then we're going to bless each other because we continue to need blessings during this time of the pandemic. So if you have your own Kiddush cup, or if you're thinking of your Kiddush cup, you could raise it in your mind as please join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים. All right. Okay. Now I want to invite you to raise your hands in blessing in the ancient sign of the Kohanim, which is our practice, and to look at the screen and to see all of the people, whether you know them or not, you are receiving blessing from them and you are offering blessing to them. So we're a community and we're stronger when we give blessing to each other. During this difficult time, especially, we need blessing and we need to know that we're connected. So I invite you to keep your hands raised in this blessing pose as we recite the ancient words. Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. May God shine light upon you and be good to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha vayasem lecha shalom. Shalom. May God look upon us all with favor and bless each one of us and all of us together with shalom, peace and wholeness. And together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, before we make motzi, once again, I just want to thank Jordan Berg Powers for beautiful and very important of our Torah tonight. Thank you so much. I want to thank our Tzedek at Sinai leaders, and I want to thank Rabbi Talia Stein for making sure that we got a chance to hear from Jordan tonight, and we encourage people to continue. This is the long-term work, and we're in it for the long haul. All right, please, if you have a challah, or again, you can sort of taste the one on the screen, although I don't recommend it. And please join me in the motzi. Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
La 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 whoa 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 la 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 Shabbat shalom, and if you want to keep schmoozing, please join the Oneg. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Have a great, beautiful, restful Shabbat.